Hey guys, we'll get started in just a second. AR, why don't you try talking for a bit just so that we can check some levels?
Okay. You want actual talking or just the chewing sounds of the taco I'm currently eating?
The talking would be better.
Okay.
And that is the wrong number on the overlay.
Hmm. Yep. Yes, it is.
Well, not much to do about it now. Okay, so how do our levels sound, everyone? Everything sound about good? Let's see. Well, no complaints. I'll go ahead and grab 30 seconds of silence starting now. Okay, that should be good. Ready to go, AR?
Mm. Yes.
Okay. Welcome to the podcast. We're here to entertain and inform while talking about Digimon a bit. I'm Mark, I run with the will.
Mayor Palver, Digimon System Restore.
And it's been a bit, hasn't it?
Did we did do one in August, right?
I think no, I actually think we didn't because I think it was the day after DigiFes one.
Oh, that was that right. That was in technically still July, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was the last one we did.
That's okay. August isn't important for Digimon, so it's no big deal.
Well, we got all the news from July, which kind of lined up nicely with a break, and you would think they would have stopped for a bit after that, and they sort
That's not my Amara experience with this. No,
no,
no. They just keep going.
yeah. So shall we just jump right into the news and pass the fact that the number is wrong on the title screen?
Yeah, anything to get off of that slide, probably a good idea.
Yeah. So not quite this year's DigiFest, but they are making the Butterfly Music Library and those shirts available again. I'm glad they didn't do Butterfly again this year, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, it's better than a new CD.
Yeah, so I don't know. I still like the shirts. I still think it's way too like the price is basically $75 for a CD and a
Yeah,
shirt, and that's too
yeah,
much.
yeah.
On top of that, this seemed like the most it felt like the one thing everyone sort of kind of wanted from DigiFest this year, which was the premium card sets
Oh yeah, yeah.
and premium Bandai finally started selling them. I it's I mean I understand why Atmon's not there, but I don't like it
Yeah,
because
I,
because
it's
because
it's
you can't really throw in just one Atmon card and then have nothing else
yeah,
for either of these card games.
yeah. Just in case someone actually tries to play with them.
Technically speaking, people could. I'm not saying they should, but like even the rules for when they throw in new cards are like if you have an Agumon, you can remove 5 cards and then evolve to Omegamon.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like pseudo not really a card. They make it very obvious they know they're collector's items. Let's just put it that way.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and unlike the CD and shirt, these are actually really well priced. These are about $10 each.
Yeah.
And if you buy them together, you get the little bonus cards, which I like the Hyper Coliseum one, the Cardass one. I don't really. It just doesn't work for me that one. It just is everyone like shoved in basically.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, the Cardass one
Either
at
way,
least has the design and everything.
yeah. Either way, look at them ignoring all the other seasons again.
Poor Frontier, it never shows up in anything.
Yeah.
And moving on to stuff other than Adventure being ignored yet again, an OMEGAMON X figure. Is it? I'm trying to think of the way the word this. They haven't been teasing it, but it does feel like this kept getting pushed back from when they said it was going to show up.
I keep getting our Omegamons mixed up, so I can never keep track of what the certain dates are.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But pre-orders are finally up for this, and it's not cheap. 8,400 yen, about $80. This is the first time for because this is technically considered a nicer version of a capsule mascot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the first time that has new artwork because this is not the profile art from Megamon X.
Yeah.
Um, and it feels like everyone skipped over Omegamon X as an item of interest to the fact that they're including a Tokomon X figure.
That's the real selling point, of course.
Well, seriously though, I've seen very few people talk about the Omegamon X figure as a figure, and more people like they're doing Tokomon X. Oh, and the artboard, which
I
is nice
wonder if
also.
that's just because everyone's just used to Omegamon figures that a new one doesn't really
I,
move the needle
I
much. But
mean,
throw a Tokomon in there and
while it
people
doesn't,
are.
how often do we get stuff for Omegamon X though? I mean, it is an Omegamon,
It's
but it's
it's
not the one we normally see.
it's another form of Omegamon, even though X is an established line with a billion
Yeah.
other X Digimon. It's still another Omegamon.
So $80 ships next June. That does feel like a long time though to wait for Tokomon.
Yeah, it really does.
And I don't know. I still like look. The Tokomon figure still looks neat to me.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not gonna pay $80 for it, but
yeah.
neat.
I like that
Yeah.
Tokomon gets its own page.
And then very not huge updates, but a few small updates for the X2. They showed off a bit of the comic booklet, which will be from Somoriyama again.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like these are less exciting because they keep putting the stories up.
Yeah, yeah. It's like we've pretty much got have access to the
Yeah,
stories, so we sort of know the
yeah,
the plot line that's going on, tying all these together.
yeah.
So I mean, actually seeing a page of it, I guess, is kind of cool, but we sort of know what's happening. So.
Yeah. And then at the Animation Comic Game Expo in Hong Kong, they had them on display along with the sticker sheets that some countries are including. They apparently had hands-on demo. What was interesting was right after I posted this, the person who took the photos messaged me and was like, "I'm sorry I couldn't get photos of the hands-on." I'm like, "What?" Because they had been watching as the article went up, and
Oh,
they just weren't able to make it to that, and yeah. So they apparently visit with the will as I was posting their own photos.
hmm.
The candy looks even nicer in person. I'll say when you see like the actual photos, it really does have a nice see-through candy gloss to it.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to say about the stickers. They exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then kind of, sort of, they were on display at DigiFes also, which not much to say
They,
there.
yeah, that they should be.
Yeah,
Makes
exactly.
sense.
Slightly more exciting is the Digimon stuff. I think they did the largest reference book update yet again for like the third or fourth time in a row. And most interesting was we got updates on two specific ones. The first is for Vamdemon X. We can actually see now he does not have eyes, which I think is neat based on the profile of him.
Sure,
Because
it fits.
the entire body's fake.
Yeah,
So not having the eyes is
it's
kind of a
kind
neat
of
little
a
touch. And
yeah.
this was the thing that it felt like confused the hell out of everyone the first time, which was they referred to him having a guitar, and he didn't, which was Ogremon X, and now he does.
Ah,
And,
I didn't catch the first one, but
yeah,
yeah.
it was just an axe the first time, and
Just
everyone
an
was like,
axe. Now it's an
yeah.
axe.
Well, because the going theory at the time was maybe it was meant to be a pun on the idea of calling a guitar an axe. Now it's
No,
actually a
yeah.
guitar,
It's actually a guitar. Yeah.
and they
Okermon joining a metal band. It's unexpected, but it sort of
yeah,
fits.
and I believe they added a
He's got the whole look going.
and they added a bit more bloodstains also, I believe.
Yeah, he can join Jimmy Ken.
And see, and this is where there's not much to say now, but they announced the Digimon X3, which the actual announcement wasn't surprising. It was more that they announced it so quickly.
Yeah.
And most interesting, I feel like, is one, I like the colors, even though we have
Hmm.
no photos of them. Yellow and blue is a good color combination.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to see the shade of blue, but
And the theme is good, which is Royal Knights versus the Seven Great Demon Lords, which it
makes
felt,
sense.
which was weird, was a lot of people did not see this coming, it felt like. A lot of people thought it was going to be like some crazy theme we hadn't seen before, when
Yeah.
when just based on the story, this really did make sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is the story progression that makes sense. I suppose people could be imagining a different group being featured, but no,
Yeah.
this is where the story's heading to.
Yeah.
So
And they also tease that it's the end of the X series, which
yeah, okay.
I guess the
This is the
question,
last and this is the last adventure. So
yeah,
last evolution.
yeah, I let's put it this way. I do believe it is the end of the Digital Monster X V-Pet series.
That's fair.
Now, to be fair, the next one could very well be the Digimon Pendulum X Next Generation, because there's already been Pendulum X's.
There's lots of different letters to choose from too.
Yes. They We'll get information on September 20th when pre-orders go up, and they've also teased more important information that day. Do we think it's actually important information, or do you think they're just going to throw up a figure or something?
I don't know. They may have something. I'll be optimistic and I'll go for something, which is I'm gonna go out on a limb and do that because I'm probably not gonna be on the next podcast to be called out when I'm wrong.
May, if you listen to this, make sure to call him out if he's wrong. But yeah, there's really only two new between the Royal Knights and Seven Great Demon Lords. There's only two left, aren't there? That could get X forms. Gankumon and Examon, I think, are the only ones who don't have
Oh,
one.
Examon hasn't gotten one yet.
I don't think
Huh.
he has one.
Huh.
Here, wait, I will
Okay.
search for Examon X.
Examon.
Yeah,
Just the name alone makes me
he does not.
wish.
He does not have one.
Okay. I kind of don't want him to get one now with that name.
They could always evolve him to an X form and just give him an entirely different name.
That would require effort.
Exa Alphamon.
Now we're getting confusing.
You asked for effort. You didn't ask for good effort. So moving on from that, um, look at all those V pets I had to take photos of for the breakdown of it. When I talked to Banda, I thought they'd maybe send me one, and then I got a giant box, which will upset a certain subgroup of fans because I also got a photo of the outer box, which I haven't put up yet, that clearly marks them as toys and not games.
Oh no.
I guess they can't be in Smash now.
Yeah. Shoots that.
Yeah, I will
I
say.
mean, it was a long shot anyway.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Although I can't wait for Colonel Sanders to be in Smash. That's inevitable.
I do hope if we get more V pets, could a little more effort in the packaging and manual maybe. It really feels like they grabbed everything old they could, reused it, and didn't pay attention minus swapping in a few terms from the shows.
I did like the Agumon, Dracomon, Hackmon, Zubamon picture though.
That's not, yeah,
That
but
was cute.
yeah, that's from the 20th art book, I believe.
Ah,
Yeah,
well, still putting it in
yeah.
there, I appreciate
But
it.
like even on the back of the packaging, there's no mention of anything in the new version. It's just I think it's just everything from the original release. And this has so
Mm-hmm.
much more stuff. It feels like they could point out this has, just 5 in 1 plus a bunch more. It just not, I don't know, a bit more consistency in some of it would work well for me, especially when they get to like they called the D3 something wrong later in the booklet. It just,
Oh, jeez.
I think they called it like the DigiFes version 3 or something along those lines, but they call it a D3 correctly on the next page.
Uh-huh.
It just,
Yeah.
a little bit of effort would have helped.
Until I saw the whole packaging in the instruction book, like I didn't realize just how much of a nostalgia play this was.
See, I'm not even sure it's a nostalgia play, to be honest. I think it might have just been they grabbed the original stuff and that's it.
I
Not even for nostalgia. I mean in the sense of not having to do anything. You know what I mean?
I think it's both. Maybe it's both. It's like
See,
maybe people are nostalgic for the old school Bandai logo, the old school logo for
well,
the
well, that's the
VPS,
thing. It's not even
and
but here's the thing. It's not even nostalgia because they don't even point out that it's the 20th anniversary. They don't point out that it's in theory an anniversary product.
it
Or
doesn't have to be an anniversary product. It just has to be old.
no, but it doesn't show anything that being old. For all people know who aren't super familiar with that stuff, it could just look like something new.
Yeah, I mean, it could work both ways in that regard. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen that. I mean, a lot of us have seen that old logo before and go, "Oh man, I haven't seen that in a while."
No,
And
I know.
get interested in the product, and other people looking and going, "Oh, Digimon did a rebrand."
I would just like a little more effort next time, I think. I mean, I like the different cut, like the colors are good, the shells are solid. I just
Hmm.
a little bit more on the text would help for me at least. And I don't believe that none of this was actually here for the mobile games last time, was it? It was all right before when we did the last show.
Yeah, if we did it right before, yeah, if we did it in,
Yeah.
I
So
think we were talking about
we talked about how,
Re-Rise is probably going to be very soon,
yeah.
but
So
didn't.
first up, Link shut down. I don't think we have anything else to say about that. Minus that
No, we
they
knew that was going to happen.
but they did it in a really shitty way. They um they put up a maintenance message first much earlier in the day. So
Oh
people
yeah,
got very confused what was going on.
yep.
And then the
We're closing for maintenance, so we
yeah.
can shut down completely.
And Mitsu Okada, who's the artist for all the stuff in Links, did one last image of Hina, which
That was nice.
he even pointed out was technically fan art because he wasn't employed anymore for it.
It's
Which
okay.
nice little image.
We're never gonna we're never gonna see her again, so the more the merrier.
Some people are gonna think you're joking, but realistically, we're not ever seeing her again, are we?
It's very possible we are
Yeah,
never seeing Hina again.
yeah. And then they put up pre-registrations for Re-Arise.
I'm trying to think if we've ever seen Aegismon after Hero shut down. Anyway,
I think he did show up in something. I think I could be wrong though. Um, so in various app stores, you can go and pre-register it, which we'll get into in a second. They aren't really being helpful with dates. There's just the standby
no, they're really not.
October date in the iOS App Store, which that
No. And
um
there's a lot of, and that they're not announcing it on Facebook because they've been doing constant Facebook
no,
updates to introduce the characters and the setting and the gameplay mechanics, but they haven't actually announced the date,
yeah,
and it's really bugging people.
yeah, and the pre-registration stuff is for 100K. It's basically some decoration stuff.
I,
300K,
hey, that portable potty is important to me.
300K, various care items, some digicode, which is the in-game. It's not currency. It's like the evolution
It's
junk, I
yeah,
believe.
it's the
And
the gold the gold the the gold, and then there's
Yeah.
the stuff you actually have to pay
And
for.
then 500,000 is the thing we're all looking forward to, which is the train car decoration.
Of course.
Yeah. And the
Hey, when I was playing Lynx, I made good use of the train car
yeah.
decoration.
Now let's talk about this egg. So if it hits 500k, everyone gets an egg that eventually ends up being Pumpkinmon, and then will evolve into a new Mega Digimon, which we will get first, they've said.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And everyone's trying to like figure out based on the silhouette what he looks like. For some reason I'm really amused by that because I'm not. It so often we get silhouettes and the final thing doesn't look like what everyone imagines based on the silhouette.
Yeah, it's really hard to say
Yeah,
because
I mean
it's
it does.
based off of it's based off of Pumpkinmon.
Well,
So it's like,
it's
okay, so
the question is it based off Pumpkinmon?
I would hope so.
I,
Although there's an ultimate form between that.
yeah, but that's what I mean. It may not be based
Like,
off him.
yeah, it could be Pumpkinmon to whatever ultimate you
Yeah.
choose to this thing, Jack Skellingtonmon,
Yeah. Now,
and
the one interesting thing is everyone does seem to agree that he does appear to have a cane.
we're really in the weeds on this, aren't we?
Well, it's annoying because like we kind of felt like we were going to be playing it by now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's been
We got
over.
nothing else to do. We don't have a Digimon mobile game at the moment.
Because we literally went, okay, Lynx is going to shut down. Probably either the next day or within a week, we were going to be playing the game, whether we liked it or not. To be fair, we thought we'd be playing it. We're over a month later, and there's not even like, unless it's showing up on Halloween, we don't have a hint. So it's hard to say much. Although the next thing for Rear Eyes probably is the most interesting because no one will say anything about this, which is on the Facebook they said Ben Diskin would be playing Shoutmon, or not Shoutmon, Doraemon.
Force of habit there.
Yeah. Now what was interesting was when it was mentioned, Ben Diskin actually responded, and it was basically the "I am?" question mark, and then they erased it off the Facebook, but but because they did not delete the post, you can still check the edit history and see that it's there. So
this Facebook page really has their ducks in a row here.
So Rear Eyes is getting dubbed, maybe. I mean, do
they
we?
Haven't announced. They never announced any other English voice actors, though.
But here's the thing: that was the first one they put up, minus Harrismon, I think. It was like the first one that you would.
I thought they had a couple more before they got to.
I think it's the first Digimon they put up though.
I thought they had one of the kids first.
They did put up one of the kids, but I don't believe they'd put up much in the way of Digimon yet. I could be completely wrong though. But
yeah, I thought they put up.
Yeah, but it's like it's not like they just said, and it will be in English, where you could go, okay, they just like changed Japanese to English and they missed it. They picked they had a name.
No, they announced both voice. I thought they announced both voice, both the Japanese and
yes,
English voice.
They had both listed, which really, if it's not being dubbed, they clearly were planning to at some point. So
yeah, that's possible.
So do you think?
Although at the same time, if they were planning to at some point, maybe they should have gotten looped in Ben Diskin at some point to have him maybe read a line as this character.
Now the question is do you think we're actually getting it in English dubbed?
Right now, I'm a no. If we were getting it in English, I don't think they'd be listing Japanese voice actors.
Generally, I agree with you, except that they actually had a name of an actor there kind of makes me skew more to yes than I normally would be. Because it didn't come out of thin air that the name had to have been chosen somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's, for example.
Did you ask Ben
No, he responded on Twitter.
No, I mean, did you follow up and ask like, do you know anything about this?
No, because because here's the problem: if he doesn't know anything, then there's nothing for him to say. If he's under an NDA, he's not going to give me any information I could actually use outside of denial. So asking him in that case is basically going, well, he said no, but I think, and we can do that already based on him saying no.
Yeah.
Um, so it will be interesting to see.
I think, well, the IM is a pretty strong indication that he had no idea that he was, that it at least progressed to the point where he was locked into this role.
But it's also very easy to type and to not give away what you actually think is the one issue that I have with going off him actually responding that way. You know what I mean?
If he was actually locked into the project, he'd probably just go, oh, yes, that's right, I am. I didn't know I
No,
could talk about that
no.
right now.
It'd be easier for me to dismiss it if it was say if it had said Sam Riegel is Kudamon.
Yeah, yeah.
If it was a name in Digimon that had been connected before, I could more easily go someone made a mistake.
Yeah.
But
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah, it's
Although at the
harder.
same time, getting Sam Riegel back as Kudamon would be
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
impressive.
yeah. It's harder for me to just dismiss it like I normally would because there's no connection between him and Doraemon as far as I know.
Well, Doraemon's never been dubbed before.
Was he in Next Order?
Oh, maybe he was in Next. I forgot Next
Yeah,
Order happened.
I think we all forgot Next Order happened. That now that makes a great going over to talk about video games. They put up a nice little story trailer, which again I believe has spoilers in it. Which bless them, they keep doing this.
I forgot to watch the new trailer.
It's just English narrated basic story information, which it's nice to put up because it.
Yeah, I would like to. I should have watched it just to see if it was different from the original trailers, because there was an English trailer for the original Cyber Sleuth.
Yeah, all I know is multiple people are upset again because spoilers are in this one again, including I believe literally the mask being taken off and showing who's underneath it.
That is not a good idea.
Nope, but they keep doing it, and people in the UK can finally stop being upset at not being able to pre-order it on the Switch because it finally went up, and now they get to be upset about the price. And it's £55, at least last I checked. Let's go ahead and see if they lowered it. Nope, still £55. That is quite a bit compared to other like pseudo comparable because it's higher than Link's Awakening. It's higher than the Switch version of Ni no Kuni. It's higher than the new Pokemon games. It's higher than the new Dragon Quest.
Wow.
I mean yeah. In some of those, it's £10 more than, which is
that's a bit egregious. I mean, the market will correct itself eventually on that.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to correct itself before the game comes out because that. I'm trying to think of something to say beyond just it's too high for what it is compared to what else is out at the time. Like this is the fall of RPG and adventure games on the Switch. You're not.
It really is.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
No, you're not wrong.
I mean, when you have New Zelda,
you just listed a bunch of them.
Yeah. So and then Cyber Sleuth and Survive will be at Tokyo Game Show. Just trailers, which also again has people upset that they're not showing more. I don't know what else there is to show though, to be honest, because Survive is off at some point in the future, and Cyber Sleuth comes out in a month.
Survive probably doesn't have a playable form yet.
Well, but also you don't necessarily really want to be advertising Survive actively when you have a game coming out in a few weeks. Also,
that's also true.
And then it was on display at GME, but they seemingly printed the wrong stuff because it shows PS4. And normally we'd go, oh, are they going to stealth do it on PS4? Except people are playing, like you can see he's holding what appears to be a Switch comfort grip.
So in other words, they were just that demo. They were just playing hacker's memory. Is what that amounts to.
No, it amounts to that they probably were playing the Switch game, from what I can tell. I think they just whoever made them up printed the wrong assets on them.
Oh, I thought I saw someone playing it with the PS4 controller.
There's a diagram of the PS4 controller, but if you look carefully at his hands, I think that's a Switch comfort grip for the Joy-Cons.
Oh.
But yeah, they printed the PS4 name, they printed the PS4 controller. The main reason that I believe this is in fact a mistake is there's no Switch logo or anything.
Mm,
which isn't necessarily what you want to
yeah.
do when you have a game coming out.
Yeah, you should probably tell people
Yeah.
what platform it's coming out for.
And then we
And
have more non-news, possibly. A job listing was put up by MediaVision about making new and updated monster models for a cel-shaded anime type title. Now, here's the thing. Uh, that could easily be Digimon, but MediaVision is also associated with a number of franchises that could easily be that game.
yeah,
Like, because they did, I don't remember the name of it now. That mobile series for Square, Chaos Rings. They did Wild Arms. There's a lot of games they could be remastering or porting or otherwise making new games of for other companies.
a lot of RPGs have monster models.
Yeah. And we have the file size from the Japanese preload, which is 4.9 gigs, which about what we expected.
Yeah,
Um, and if you wanted to import the Japanese version for whatever reason, it will not have English, so don't do
right.
that. And at least for we don't know if this is true for us, but it probably is. Bandai Namco Germany confirmed that it will all be on the game card. There won't be any forced downloads, which is
Mm-hmm.
which has happened with Switch games where maybe the first game will be included and the second you have to download.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting Seal instead of Nor also, which has upset a number of people.
Hmm.
Which whatever.
I guess that's. I mean, it's kind of consistent. I guess
Yeah.
is the international release or whatever.
Yeah. And at the very least, they've confirmed that we will be getting the NX Digimon in the US as part of the pack-in.
Well, we're all relieved about that.
Well, considering last time I think it
I
was
think I used them like once.
well, no, but some of them you could not get via pre-order in the US, and I believe you had to pay like $4 or $5 if you wanted to actually fill up the decks in the game.
That's fair.
Because I think it was Gallantmon and Alphamon were in like a 2-pack for like $5, and there's no way to get them in the game otherwise.
Right. Yeah. The NXs are
Yeah,
off, not part of the game.
but they are in the numbering, which
Yeah.
upset
Yeah.
upset a number of people last time. So we'll see. Now, shall we talk about the greatest art of all time?
You mean the one on my phone screen right now? Yeah.
ODAIBA Memorial, or more and more people seem to be calling it Digimon Day, so we can go with either or. Uh, Bandai put up something pretty great for it, which was a tall social media art, which they even noted could be used as phone wallpaper, and then they put up an alternate version asking you to tell the difference. But the interesting thing is it's not a normal spot the difference because both are like correct. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean that there's no real errors?
Well, what I mean is anything they changed still fits in the sense it's not like, oh, they
Oh,
miscolored
yeah.
someone's eyes or
Yeah. Yeah.
the changes are all things that match up.
That. Yeah. That Vmon is sitting
Yeah.
on his Digimental instead of a chair or that sort of stuff.
I still think the best one, and because this one has actually confused people, is that they actually do swap the Agumons and not just swap the colors. A
Yes.
lot of people
That
did
was my
not notice
favorite.
that.
I think that was that my favorite one? That was one of my favorite ones.
I think the funniest one is the Mochimon just sitting there with the look on its
Yeah, the
face.
Mochimon's good. The Shoutmon roasting Diginoir instead of his kebab.
I don't. I
That
don't
was a
think.
good one.
I don't think he's roasting it. I think he's just holding it in that case.
Mm, I don't know. I don't actually know what if there's any prep involved for Diginoir.
I thought they were just
Like it's sort of
cookies.
like they're sort of just cookies, but maybe they can. It's like vegetables. You can either eat them fresh or you just eat them, or you can prepare them in some way.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'd be interested in a
Yeah,
Diginoir cookbook.
and they really did throw these up large. Like I don't know. I just like the level of detail and getting the images so
Yeah,
large.
I took the advice of someone on the Discord and did the one of them's the lock screen and one of them's the home screen.
Yeah, I just like the art. I will say I would have liked something. a bit better for Agnemon rather than just having a little bit of flame coming out the side of his mouth.
He likes his curry hot. It's very appropriate.
Oh no, it is.
It's simple, but it's very appropriate.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing that I put up for ODAIBA Memorial, which was I did a full breakdown with scans and everything of Digimon the movie on DVD. The the most amusing
I honestly, I should have gotten my DVD out just so I could follow along.
the most amusing thing about doing this was finding that it was better put together as an actual DVD than most Toei DVDs I've imported to do breakdowns of. I mean, like it's cropped.
Which does kind of fit. I mean, this was still a Fox release.
I know, but it was Fox circa 2001, I believe, is when it came out, like in February. Like
Mm-hmm.
you would think they would have a better handle on DVDs after so many years.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of screenshots. It's still kind of and a number of people are like, oh, they thought it was going to be a parody of it, but it wasn't. It was hard. It's hard to do a parody when everything's put together so coherently. Like if it was a bad disc, I could have just been, it's terrible.
Yeah, I think it's this late, and with the movie now, we nowadays we can watch the movie and go, okay, that was kind of a joke the way it was all put together, but they really took this movie seriously at the time.
Yeah.
Like they really rolled everything out. They pulled out all the stops to promote this movie.
Well, I still remember them giving away the cards.
Yeah. Which was hysterical.
Yeah, and
one of the voice actors told me that there were limos involved with the premiere.
Yeah, that might have been.
I forgot which one.
That might have been Jeff, actually.
It might have been Jeff. It might have been Paul St. Peter. I don't remember. Yeah.
But yeah. So moving on to the next breakdown, the Taichi and Sora CD from DigiFes. It's a nice.
There's more details than I expected for that.
Yeah, it's a nice little CD.
I wasn't ready for some of the little extras they put in there.
I think the one that seemed to hit people was the last page before the credits on the booklet.
Oh, the Taichi no Baka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one hit people. But it's
right, because it's obviously a tribute to the actresses, but they still managed to pull a lot out of the characters as well.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Nice little release. I'm glad.
The blue and the pink I didn't get, but
boy and girl.
Yeah, they have colors. Use the colors.
To be fair, they do sometimes use blue for Taichi. Sometimes.
Yeah.
These are like
I just associate with them with orange and red more than.
No, so do I, but they're gonna do what they're gonna do. It probably would have helped more if they hadn't used blue so much on the packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, nice little CD, and oddly, that was not a DigiFes exclusive, so in theory, that's gonna pop up somewhere. Hopefully, they don't do the variant cover like they did with the the original DigiFes one that had the Angemon on the front, where then they changed the background and they flipped the song order and they went, hey, it's a special edition of that. And I think we went, can they please stop doing this? It's getting kind of manipulative. Yeah. And moving on from that, this has been kind of like a week and a half that's kind of knocked people around, and it just kept getting.
This is rule of threes, I guess.
Yeah. So first up, and from the U.S. Digimon comic is artist Nigel Dobian. He's probably more known to UK fans because he worked on Sonic the Comic and a lot of comics over there. He did I think it was about half the American comic book.
Mm-hmm. Which I never got a chance to read.
I think I only read the first one before deciding it wasn't for me, which means I probably haven't seen any of his art, or at least where I'd be aware enough of it.
Yeah, I had a friend who picked up a couple, but I never thought to borrow them and take a look at them.
Well, all Dark Horse ever did was adaptions of the first few episodes.
Right. But still, it's like that'd be kind of interesting. Adaptions are fun.
Yeah. And then Michael Lindsay passed.
Yeah, that one hurt. Because Joe was of all the everyone in the season 1 dub, Joe was the kid that actually just his voice just fit the best.
Yeah. And he was
I
also
think
Greymon, of course.
yeah,
And the
and
re
he
and,
went didn't
sorry, go ahead.
uh, like and Jeff Nimoy said something about how like when he gave Lindsay the funniest lines just because of the way he delivered them.
Yeah. Well,
I
because he
love
he
that.
always delivered them as Joe very like honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, the reason why he was Greymon was he was the original voice of Agumon,
Mm-hmm.
which got
Mm-hmm.
it was after for him it was after episode 2, but multiple voices swapped around episodes after episodes 1, 2, and 3 just to move actors who had more lines than they thought out of other roles.
Yeah, that was because Josh Seth was playing half the cast, and
Yeah,
they wanted to shuffle that around a little more.
yeah, um,
Um, he also did the Gatsumon and Data Squad because
yeah,
I've been doing the live stream of Data Squad again with my wife, and you know it's a good chance I really appreciate his Gatsumon because it's hard to hate Gatsumon and he makes you do it.
yeah. And then just a few days ago, we found out Robert Axelrod passed, which this is one that I don't. It wasn't a surprise like some of the
No,
others, but
no,
this is one that it seemed to hit people really hard. This one
it
especially.
really was because I mean even up until very recently he was doing conventions and just
Well,
continuing. He just kept going and kept
yeah,
delivering, telling stories and
yeah,
pleasing fans, and he's just entertained all the way to the end.
yeah.
He was one of the last guests of my convention in Madison too. So this is a sad one.
Yeah, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever seen someone run a panel the way he did, where he did like it almost didn't matter what the name of the panel was. It was going to be Robert Axelrod telling stories that you want to hear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
No, that's yeah.
yeah, I'd been to a few of them, and they're just great.
It's gonna be a that's gonna be a massive hole to fill when it comes time to dub Armadillomon for the new movie.
I mean, do we think they haven't dubbed it already?
The Kizuna?
Yeah,
I don't think they've dubbed it yet.
I don't know. We've gotten like vague little non hints from a few different actors that they might have recorded stuff.
Hmm.
Like no one ever saying Digimon or monsters or anything, but like the most obvious one was Joshua Seth pointing out that he was recording something, and it was and he doesn't really he's not like most of the others where they record stuff where we could go, okay, they're doing a Boruto movie.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's hmm.
So it's
That's well. Let's hope so, because
yeah,
that would be a good time to remember him.
yeah, but yeah, he and the thing that seemed to shock people the most, especially since a lot of people like maybe they knew he was Armadillomon, and then they didn't realize he was also Wizardmon because the voices were so significantly different. Even though if you listen, you can kind of hear it.
Hmm.
And then of course, probably his most popular character is Lord Zed from Power Rangers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the one that realistically people would know him as.
Yeah. That's the one I always go to when people ask me who he is.
Yeah. Um, and moving on from that, it's been 20 years since Digimon premiered in English.
I feel old now.
To be fair, we're both old.
Yeah. 20, huh?
Yep.
It makes sense, but
Yeah. Moving on from being old.
it's also a reminder of how quickly they were able to turn around the dubbing process on that.
And for anyone who doesn't like the way I say Boruto, I could be saying Bort.
Could be
We're out of Bort license plates. Out of Bort license
no,
plates. Or wait, it
no.
was
It's
keychains, wasn't it?
it
It was
was
something.
I think it was Sport license plate keychain. So
Fair
you're
enough.
both right, but
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, I don't know why you brought up burrito, but moving
Well,
on.
because remember I was talking about where if actor A says they're recording something,
Oh,
it
gotcha.
yeah, like Colleen
Yeah,
O'Shaughnessy is
Joshua
in
Seth
Boruto.
is
Yeah,
not doing casual
yeah,
cameos on burrito. Gotcha.
exactly. See, he's saying it wrong too. He's saying burrito.
I just polished off 3 tacos before we went on, so I'm in a very
Okay.
Mexican state
So
right now.
moving on, we have basically the wrap up from DigiFest and a few other things. So first up, the actual wrap up from DigiFest had they finally told us what the scene they showed was, and it was apparently the O2 kids seeing Miyako for the first time in a bit, which we don't get to see that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like they don't
Yeah.
televise, they don't stream these anymore, so
Yeah.
sucks to suck.
Yeah. Hanai talked about how Taichi and Yamato have a scene where they're talking in a bar.
Yes.
So that will be interesting to see. They did do a short audio drama about another August 1st, which I kind of wish we could hear that because I kind of feel like that's something where they could reference the stage play.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, that's now two on stage audio dramas I think we missed out on.
I think I think there's a third actually.
Oh, jeez.
They do a lot of them. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
There was the song medley, and apparently the entire arena was singing when Butterfly came on.
Of course.
Yeah.
As they should.
Yeah. And we finally got the results of the fan vote. And of course, this was a while ago at this point, but we didn't have a show. Coolest battle scene, which number one was, of course, OMEGAMON versus Diablomon. I don't think anyone's shocked by that.
No.
Number 2 and 3 were Apocalypse and Venom Vamdamon. Not really shocked by either of those, to be honest. Then the cast voted for which human character did they want to be for the day. Number 1 was Koshiro.
Okay, that's fair.
Number 2 is Yamato. I don't get that one at all, to be honest.
That one surprises me. I don't know. Why would anyone want to be?
Yeah. Oh, you broke up a little bit there. Did you say why?
Actually, I was...
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know why anyone would want to be Yamato. I was pulling up the...
Okay. And then a tie for...
a lot of pictures on that page.
A tie for third was Mimi and Hikari, which those makes a... Then the cast voted for
Hikari has all that weird supernatural godly stuff going on, but okay.
And then the cast voted for the coolest Digimon. Number 1 was Angemon, which not the one that I would have imagined would have been one, but fair enough.
Not at all.
2 was Angemon, which again fair enough, but I wouldn't imagine.
Okay, yeah, that's.
And then 3 was a 3-way tie: War Greymon, OMEGAMON, and Devimon.
Devimon, what?
Yes. And apparently the wrong photo was put up for Devimon. They put up a photo of Vamdamon.
Maybe that's who they were thinking of, because I don't remember Devimon ever being cool.
The host joked that he was going to yell at the staff later.
No, I think they made the right... I think they corrected that. Because Vamdamon is
to be fair, you have to remember, that wasn't a fan vote, that was the cast.
Doesn't matter. No excuses. Know your stuff.
And then the fan vote for
Devimon is lame.
And then the fan vote for what song people want as their own theme song. Number 1 was Braveheart.
Yes, that is the correct answer.
Yes. Number 2 was Butterfly. Again, the correct answer.
That's okay.
3 is Biggest Dreamer. I disagree with Biggest Dreamer for one reason. I feel it doesn't work as a person's theme song. You'd want something like Evo or Card Slash. There's stuff
for personal theme songs. Evolution music works better than that. Also, they're really missing Taguchi Kara on that one.
True.
Like, if we're talking our own theme song spanning the franchise, come on.
And then the evening show, they did different vote results. The favorite scene, as voted by fans, the train departing in adventure. That doesn't shock anyone.
Fair. That's, yeah.
The O2 Kids versus Belial Vamdamon, that seemed like it's a...
That's not a bad scene.
No, but I mean, like, it's cool when they do the pan over of the Digimon.
Yeah.
But, like, there's not much of an actual, like, fight there, is what I mean.
No, it's not it's not a very good fight, but the scene itself and building up to that isn't half bad. And that episode has a lot of distractions.
Yeah.
And that part of it is pretty good.
And then Koichi in the last episode of Frontier.
That feels like a deep cut for something like this, but I appreciated it because that was
especially since it's from fans. Like a lot of the cast was in Frontier to some degree or another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like all of a sudden pulling something from Frontier out. Yeah. It's kind of it's surprising, and I liked it.
And then we get the cast voting which human character do they admire the most. Number 1 is Taichi, which is kind of like the obvious. 2's Mimi, again obvious. 3 Genai.
That makes no sense.
Well, when you get it in the context of adventure, I think it makes sense in that he's trying to help even though he can't really do much himself.
He's trying to help and doing a really crappy job of it.
Could be worse. He could have been voted up there because he's licking people.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Then the cast
I
vote.
think that has to be weighed in, honestly.
Then the cast.
I don't care if that's really him or not. He has a history.
Then the cast votes on which Digimon would they want as their partner. Number one was a complete surprise, and I'm very, very pleased by it. Hawkmon.
Not even the dub version. This is Japanese Hawkmon.
Yeah.
Like it's not. You don't even have the Neil Kaplan effect going on
Yeah.
here.
And then number two was a 5-way tie between
Good
Piyomon,
jeez.
Patamon,
Okay.
Tailmon,
Yes.
Wormmon,
Yes.
and Leomon.
Yes. Leomon. That's not a good choice. Again, know your history, people.
To be fair, he hasn't died in Re-Arise yet.
Spoilers, dude.
I said yet. That counts.
I've gotten through. Are you saying spoilers as the game hasn't started here yet, or spoilers is through the end of chapter 1?
AR, you're the one spoiling it because, as we've noticed, very often we get questions showing that people aren't paying attention. So if someone didn't know that, now they do. And fan vote for
asking for clarification here.
Yeah, and fan vote for favorite song. Now, this was favorite song with no explanation other than just what people like most. Number one's Butterfly,
Sure.
of course. Number two's
Sure,
Braveheart,
yeah.
of course. Three's
Okay.
Biggest Dreamer. That's where Biggest Dreamer makes sense to me personally.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like it does not work as
not my favorite, but it's a banger.
I would have preferred something like Car. I think there's better songs in Tamers, to be honest.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I turned into a strange apologist for the fire in Frontier. Yeah. I don't know. Apparently people don't like that one.
I like Fire. And then
yeah, I like that one too.
Graph Art was giving away flyers versions of the postcards they gave out at Anime Expo.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really new there, but it exists. They started selling the DigiFes brochure at the Toei store, which
I'd like to get translations of those.
I'm working on.
That'd be nice to see.
I'm working on it.
Woot.
Yeah, that should be happening. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Which time is what we all need. And then the train station promotion, which people in Japan were very excited by this. Just like
this looked really cool.
Yeah, where basically at two different really big railway stations, all the video signs were changed over to Digimon anime trailers from all the different anime shows, and I believe it was scanning a QR code nearby. It would then display on screen your Digimon partner. It's just a neat little promotion. I'm very curious why they use the old Geni. Like, do you think that's just that's the art and people know who that character is?
Probably.
But again, they could have at least traced him to make the art look like crisp instead of being the old low resolution clean artwork they had of him.
Yeah.
Which does not scale up nicely. And then the most important thing, they put up the social media art of the O2 characters with confetti around them to celebrate them being announced for Kizuna.
They're really excited.
I know, the art's so good though. I really wish they had given like something to Wormmon to hold because it looks like he's holding one of those pieces of confetti and celebrating.
Oh.
I don't know. I just like the art. And then they announced a few different types of screenings. Bandai Channel is renting movies 1, 2, and 4, which it comes across as a little mean not to throw in the third one because it's on Bandai Channel.
It's so long though.
Yeah.
It'd take more than $3.
Yeah. But yeah, so
they have to charge $5 for that one.
Oh yeah, they put it in their unlimited views section, which is you pay $3 and you can watch as much as you want in a week, which is neat. More interesting is the Anime Film Festival Tokyo screening.
Yeah.
So October 18th at 9 p.m. and it's at the Shinjuku Wall 9, which has kind of been like the home base for Tri.
Yeah, we're well familiar with this one.
Yeah. So very interesting screening. First off, it's called the Digimon Adventure 20th Anniversary Television Masterpiece Screening and Talk Show. They're going to show Adventure.
Is this going to turn into a light novel?
Yes, they're showing Adventure Episode 25 of the Sleeping Tyrant Tonosama Gekkomon, and Episode 3 Pump and Gatsu are Shibuya type Digimon. Now let's just say those are interesting choices for Episode 30.
Well, continue on.
Yeah. There's a reason why. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So
the only reason I didn't flinch at those episode choices were because.
So there's 5 guests. So there's 5 guests. The first is Yodo Kazama, who's Yamato in Adventure. Ai Maeda, who I don't think we really need to introduce. I think that's one of the. That's what.
Who Ai Maeda is.
Yeah. Then let's skip ahead. Seki Hiromi, who's producer and current supervisor. Tomohisa Taguchi, who's the director of Kizuna. And then Akatsuki Yamatoya. He wrote Adventure Episode 25, which is why that's there. And he also wrote Kizuna.
Doesn't fill me with confidence because I'm not a big fan of that episode. But anyway.
He wrote better ones. I mean,
okay.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
Everyone wrote some bad ones at some point.
I'm reserving judgment.
They're giving away some sort of postcard, which they aren't specifying. And it's about a month away, so we'll see what pops up. And I like them using the really, really, really old Adventure poster as promotion for it, because we don't see that poster that often. We've seen it more in the past month and a half than we have in 20 years, basically. Because I don't believe this poster was used in the U.S. for anything, was it?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it more. Just
looking at that poster makes me think the anime is 10 years older than it actually is.
Yeah, it does really have that early 90s, it has that early Sunrise look to it, from right before Sunrise got bought by Bandai. It has that to it. Do you like how everyone has these poses except Gomamon, who's just there? Everyone has the running forward type poses, and Gomamon's just standing there.
Gomamon's just floating.
I guess Gabumon's not really doing much either, to be fair.
Chill.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there, if anything. Now, the next one is one that I figured you'd actually really like, which is the V-Jump interview with Katsuyoshi Nakatsu, translated into English.
Yeah, it was all right.
The best thing about this was them asking about hats.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we have the acknowledgement that of all of the hats that Takeru has worn in Try and coming up in Kizuna, that we have the acknowledgement that his hat in season 1 is still his strangest.
Well, the funny part is he designed the hat based on how he wanted it to look in silhouette, but he didn't take into account that they actually had to figure out how the hat would fit on his head.
It's okay. They didn't really figure out what the thickness of Sora's hat either.
Yeah.
They were pretty inconsistent about that.
I kind of wonder if that has to do with it, actually. If maybe they thought... They swapped on that being a hat or helmet a few times, so it's hard to say.
They did. Yeah.
But yeah...
And he probably just drew it and was like, this looks cool, and then the writers / animators had to go, okay, what is this thing?
Yeah. And of course, it was also interesting where he points out that part of why he was hired was because his stuff sort of looked like Dragon Ball, because he worked on Dragon Ball, of course.
Yeah.
And he actually had no intention of doing anything Dragon Ball styled, but you can still really kind of see it, can't you?
Well, yeah. The genesis is well documented.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it evolved into what it is now.
Yeah. And interview was nice. I really recommend anyone read it for themselves if they want to, because we're not going to go over it word by word, but it's a nice little interview. It's not quite as fluffy as these tend to be.
No, it's very short and to the point.
Yeah. Moving on from that, a few small event updates. The anniversary exhibition has ended, but they put on a little light show towards the end, which was kind of neat. They tossed up a few new products for sale, which this is also why it's not clear if these are sitting in a warehouse left over from an old one or if they're just making ones that sold well. Because if they had these just sitting around, you would have figured they would have just been there when they threw in more products, huh?
Yeah.
I still like those die-cut cushions, to be honest. Um, then we have the first look at the products from the anniversary tour, which is, I think we both called exactly what these were going to be, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Where they said shirt and can badge, and we just went, it's just going to be the new art slapped on there, which it is. Although
Yeah.
the shirt is line art formatted, so that's at least a little unique.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're bringing back the original Adventure Escape Room and running it through November 4th, which is, I mean, neither of us are going to be able to
Okay.
do it, but it's neat that it was brought back.
Make and fail it again if May's over there.
I believe she was going to be around Chris. I don't know. I think she was going to try to manipulate it to be around the movie coming out. I think.
That's a better choice.
Yeah. So moving on from little events to more events, they sort of announced collaborations for Kizuna. I say sort of because they said we're going to do collaborations, and that was it. So Anion Station, where all the Tri Music cafes were, and Nasatomo Cafe, which was the escape rooms. AR, what do you think these two collaborations are going to be?
Could be a music cafe and an escape room would be
Yeah, that's
just a hunch.
yeah. We'll see, but that's exactly what they're going to be. I have
Although
I have no doubt.
an escape room for Kazuna might be interesting.
Well, the thing is just
Like,
because
I mean, it could be another throwback to season one, but
well, it could just be them as adults and it just being an escape room. It may be pseudo unrelated to it.
which would be interesting if they actually went with the adult timeline.
I feel like they're going to, because if not, wouldn't it just say adventure?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think I think it skews more to what you're saying, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
That's my guess for now. But if they surprise me, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Like that'd be kind of fun.
Scale of 1 to
The
10.
music cafe, they can totally do it.
Yeah,
So
the music cafe. If it's not exactly what we got with Try, I would actually be shocked.
yeah, which is fine because then we
Yeah.
usually get another set of art for those. So
Yeah. Now the
that would be
interesting thing
fun.
here is they could do a lot more characters this time,
Absolutely.
and especially since the last time, how many of those last time I think it was every location had it. Like it was
Mm.
like
Mm-hmm.
ludicrous. They could actually split the theme apart if they wanted to.
Did those have any custom food involved?
A lot of custom food.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I thought. So they're gonna have to create a dish with dice guy.
see, they could do combined dishes though, which they did last time. I think last time it was
That's
just.
fine. That's fine. That's fine.
See, but here's
Give
the
me
thing: they're
some.
they're not gonna make a dish for Daisuke. It's just gonna be ramen.
Well, yeah. I just want to see what they do.
You know what they could do?
Let's get some.
It could be the O2 Kids ramen, where it's ramen, and then there's chicken for Hakmon. A little.
What do you got for Wormmon here? If you're gonna go with a chicken for.
They could shape seaweed into Wormmon holding a flag.
Uh,
For Armadillomon, they could just take egg yolk and shape it into a smile.
yeah, that's fair.
So we'll see. But yeah,
Let me fantasize about them coming up with some different puns for the new kids instead of having to go with a sesame seed thing for Gomamon every time.
hey, they didn't do it the one time. I mean, I don't. I think, although I think that time it was just like white and they sprinkled something red on top and they just went Gomamon.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And then we have the big collaboration, which it's been half a year since they first teased the Hatsune Miku collaboration.
Seriously? Oh man, you're right.
Yeah, because it was literally
Yeah.
March.
Yeah.
So so we knew when the date was going to be because they announced it was going to be at that Miku concert event. They tossed us a little something early though, which was, well, we'll get to that shortly since it kind of fit in with everything else more than we thought. And we even got some of the stuff earlier than they meant for us to see it because people were taking photos at the event.
Yeah.
So the first big thing, which was the Miku version of Butterfly, which oddly was like, Much
It
better.
was all right.
I thought it was better received than I expected it to be.
Well, I mean, I don't really enjoy Vocaloid music, but they did a really good job putting that together.
Yeah,
So
the music video was nice. The song was pleasant. It's not something I would sit there and
mhm.
listen to on repeat, to be honest.
Yeah, and I know there were a couple comments about it not really being it fitting the theme of Butterfly, but I mean, Butterfly's been hacked to death so many
Yeah.
times, it sort of goes with it.
Um,
It's like it's just another version of Butterfly. It's
yeah.
a little different. It's like okay, it's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really appreciated the song. I liked the music video was pretty good. It got a little. It was a little
Long.
it was a little formulaic, I would say. You know, you kind of know how everything's gonna go.
Yeah.
I did like the episode by
Yeah.
episode screenshots
And
though.
it's worth mentioning, we actually saw on Nico Nico's charts where it ended up charting for music content.
Yeah,
It was the #1 daily one for like 5 or 6 days in a row, and it was the biggest one of the week for anything music on Nico Nico.
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Um, then we have the art. So first up is Toei art of Hatsune Miku in an Agumon costume, Megarin Luca in a Gabumon costume, Kagamin Len in a Patamon costume, and Kagamin Rin in a Tailmon costume. First off, I had to look and make sure I had these names correct.
I'm still not sure you got it right the way you pronounce Kagamine.
I had Vocaloid fans tell me I got the four of them correct. I'm not saying I pronounced it correct. I'm just saying it's the correct
No,
names for the
no,
character.
the names are
Yeah.
correct. You just
Now,
mangle the pronunciations
well,
as you
yeah,
want them
of
to do.
course I did. We both do it. I do it more, but we both do it.
The burrito thing was ironic.
That's what you claim. So the art was done by Toei. The most interesting thing was we saw the art for Miku a few days earlier when it was announced there was going to be a Nendoroid of it. So that figure's going to sell a lot to Digimon fans, isn't it?
I don't know. It's kind of horrifying a little bit.
Did you see
It does look like Agumon is eating Miku.
Well, let's be clear. The best one was the fan art from a few hours later of
Yeah,
Agumon spitting out her head.
yeah.
That was great. And can we just say my favorite, not my favorite thing, but the thing that amused me the most was um, most
Rin's
every,
two bows.
no, most everyone who listens to the show knows that one of the ways I find news is I'm just looking up Digimon stuff. I'm just looking around, which is where we get some of the weirder stories from me looking around. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'll check some of the Japanese news blogs just to see if there's anything I missed. So I look up the Miku article, I scroll down, and there's a section at the bottom that's completely disconnected from everything. I translate the header and it says commentary. And I realize it's remember the person who was really, really fucking upset about the Captain America Nendoroid?
No, I can't say I have.
You don't remember that discussion? We talked about it
Um,
on the podcast.
I
We're,
I probably
okay.
tuned it out
In the
because
Pendulum art book, they
this
put
sounds really annoying.
in the Pendulum art book they put up the planning documents for the 20th Pendulum, meaning
Okay,
like their
I'm
like their
looking at it now.
PowerPoints and stuff. And one of them was
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and to represent the unnamed Digimon they were going to make, it was a silhouette of a Nendoroid of Captain America because it was going to be a Shield
Mm,
character.
yeah, that
And
sounds more
and a,
familiar.
and a few Japanese fans were really like they decided, oh, this is proof that that Bandai doesn't know what they're doing with Digimon anymore because it's a Nendoroid, and they were trying to email Good Smile, the company that makes them, to try to get them to sue Bandai,
Mhm.
and they were demanding. This is why a number of people had decided that Bandai had stopped tweeting. Was it? Do you remember?
This is coming back to me now, and I
Yeah,
don't like it.
where they're like Bandai
There's a
isn't.
reason why I
Yeah.
tuned this out.
So they actually put commentary about that Bandai still hasn't commentated on them using a Nendoroid without permission. It's like clearly Good Smile does not. If Good Smile ever cared, clearly they don't now.
Yeah,
They're
for
making
sure.
a net Digimon Nendoroid. Clearly, no one cared as much as that person did.
Hmm.
Let's go back to the art. I just found it funny because I was not expecting to ever see that come up again, and it came up in an article about the Miku
Yeah,
stuff. And
yeah.
it was like at the end the person trying to get their word in about because there's nothing like if you don't like the song it's one thing, but there's nothing really negative here.
No,
It's all fun stuff,
like
and someone got
it's
very upset about it. It's made me
It's
laugh.
one of those things where, Digimon is something that even if, if you're involved in the anime community, you may not be necessarily familiar with Digimon, but you're aware of Digimon, and you may not be familiar with Vocaloid, but you're aware of it.
Yeah.
So if you're familiar with one and not the other, having this kind of cross promotion is
Oh
cool
yeah.
because it gives you a little bit of exposure into that other world.
And then going back to the art, three popular illustrators did art. Rella did the sort of their version of the try falling one. Unfortunately,
Oh yeah,
we didn't have room on the title card for that,
yeah,
but that one was
that was
neat.
pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah. Then we got a kind of like a general anime style art of the characters cosplaying with Digimon costumes on also.
yeah. This one was okay.
Yeah.
I think that they could have done a little more with
Yeah.
to emphasize Len and Rin on that one.
Yeah. Now, I think the
Like,
one that everyone went, oh, this is the best one, which was um, Naoki Saito, who does art for Pokemon, Dragonia Lost, and various other Nintendo stuff, did Miku as each chosen child with their Digimon in a scene. This is the type of thing where it's just far more effort than you expect it to be spent
it's
on
a
this type of thing.
lot of Miku.
Yeah, but like you don't.
So much Miku.
But like this is the type of thing where okay, art like when the images from the concert when we saw a very small thumbnail of Miku dressed as Taichi, everyone kind of went, okay, that's what we expected. That's it. And then when they released the art the next day and it was just for everyone,
Yeah.
and these all look great.
Not expecting Miku Koshiro. Like,
No,
and Miku Joe's hilarious.
I
Like, that's just.
I feel like the one that visually works the best, and it's kind of a cheat because of the hair being covered up, is
Mm-hmm.
Miku Sora.
Yeah, the Sora one's really good.
The Sora one's really good, but the Sora one's kind of a cheat because you don't have to show most of Miku's hair. Although they did still
You just have
have,
to show the twin tails.
yes,
Really, Miku's all about the twin tails.
yeah. I mean,
Like, let's be real here.
but yeah, they all look great. But yeah, I feel like the one that everyone liked the most was Joe. Joe's confuses me though, and here's why. He's sitting out in public holding a mug, but the mug appears to have another coffee cup inside of it.
Well, it could be a mug holder. I've seen those before. You can have like a
Eh,
plastic mug holder and then a styrofoam or a plastic or
I
a
guess,
foam cup
I guess
inside
it
of that
feels
is
weird.
that is a thing I have seen
Yeah, it is.
before.
But
And Joe seems like the kind of person who would have one of those
maybe
if his coffee's too
I like
hot.
the Takuru one being at the village.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. These are all great. The art's good. This is the type of thing where they need to do products of which they theoretically are. They said they're making merchandise. They wouldn't
Mm,
name what minus the Miku figure, and a shop
yeah.
tour at least 3 locations from basically late October to late November. So we'll see what it ends up being.
I still have my fingers crossed for Mako as Mako. Come on, it's low hanging fruit.
It it is, but it's almost a little too low hanging even for us to be fair. Yeah. And then I brought the lead up back because apparently I don't value my free time in working on the site.
I
So
like that you think that there's a down period.
I never said there was a down period. I just said I value whatever free time I'm able to get from it. So instead, I've done something where I don't need to put in a half hour to an hour to decide every week. And I've only almost slipped on one of them. So basically, just picking shows people can watch. Maybe they're familiar with them, maybe they're not. Basically, just as a lead up to when Kazuna comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I try to point out Digimon connections when there's some. There aren't always. I think the choices thus far, the chat room has liked them. Although a few people,
Yeah, yeah.
although people who aren't familiar with Voltron are slightly upset because they remember a Go line from last time that we did this.
Oh, okay.
I picked a Go line last time to make a point, which was that it's very easy to go, oh, an edited dub made it worse.
Is this the same? I mean, is this the same series dubbed?
Yes, this is the original
This
Voltron.
Okay.
Over the
Okay.
years, Go Lion, which is the source footage, has gotten kind of a legend of, oh, it's uncut Voltron and there's violence and there's more to it. And if you
Yeah.
ever tried to watch Go Lion, it is the most unwatchable thing you could imagine. The characters don't even call each other by names, they call each other by their main personality trait.
Oh, jeez.
So you get Shorty, Hothead, Chief, Moody, and I think Silent.
Wow.
But yeah, we'll see what comes up this week. There will be a guest slot or two based on when people get back to me. That's a hint, AR.
Oh.
Out of the 4 people I've asked,
Right.
2 of them have gotten back to me with what the show is. 1 may be this week.
Hmm.
I think AR just forgot that I'd asked him at all, to be honest.
I had no idea that you asked.
It's actually possible I asked May and forgot to ask you, to be fair.
Okay.
It's possible. Sometimes I throw stuff at you and May in the middle of the night when you guys clearly aren't around and I am. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
That's also possible. That is very possible. I'd have to think about what I would throw in here. This is a very eclectic list for sure.
Well, because it's no fun just to pick out the stuff that everyone would have seen if they're familiar with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I were to say, like last time, I didn't do Dragon Ball Z, but I did Dragon Ball. Because most people are going to be familiar with Dragon Ball Z to some degree, but they may not have seen Dragon Ball.
For sure.
Yeah. And even with something like Voltron, most people probably would have seen the recent reboot, but probably not the original show. I'm purposely picking stuff that generally people will have heard of, but possibly never seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the original Voltron. I don't remember how long I stuck with it back when it was on the air. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But we'll see what else comes up, and I'm sure I'll get AR for a guest slot at some point. But yeah, so basically you can talk about it on the forum or the chat room if anyone's interested. I still think, and the funny part is anytime anyone watches it, they end up agreeing. I think was it Jeff Ruberg who a year ago ended up watching Gundam Build Fighters after people told him it was like Digimon?
Yeah.
Effectively, Gundam Build Fighters is the best Digimon series we've never gotten.
It was also that was a weird stage where I wasn't sure which GBF he was talking about for a while. Because he's big on Granblue too.
Oh, that happens to me anytime anyone's talking about those, where it's like, wow, why are people talking about Gundam Build Fighters? And then I don't know any of these names, so no, they're not doing that.
No.
So we'll see what comes up this weekend. It probably will be a guest, but since in theory, the guests were going to write the stuff instead of me, there may be a few delays on that. And we can now move on to the sort of the big ending stuff, which is the crowdfunding for the memorial story went up, and it was better than we kind of expected and hoped for, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the first, and I feel like this is where all the generic clickbaity articles about it have kind of not been clear. It is not funding the anime. The anime was being made, period. This is purely sort of a bonus. Let's do something we don't normally do with this type of weird location-based anime.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, let's do bonus stuff because it's the anniversary and we'll see what fans actually want of it, if anything. So we got comments from Hiromi Seki and Yosuke Kinoshita. I love that little artwork of the new pop-up shop that's going to open to hold this with the theater.
Yeah, right.
So we'll go over the episode titles, but we're not going to say episode title 1 because we have more to say about it.
Yeah.
So number 2's Hole in the Heart, which that could have a lot of meanings.
Could be anybody.
Let's be clear. Number 3, we know exactly what it is. Medical student Joe Kiddo.
I think everyone wanted to see that one.
Yeah. 4 is the coveted Jogress Evolution.
Yeah, this is an interesting one.
Now, here's what's weird. It feels like logically we know what this is going to be about because it feels like it has to be Daisuke and Ken.
Yeah, that's.
But for some reason, a lot of people seem to go, well, maybe it has to do with OMEGAMON. It's like
no. This is Daisuke. It's either Daisuke and Ken or 3 partnerships.
Yeah. I mean, that and number 5, they won't say what the title is. It's secret for now. But yeah, number 4, if it's not Daisuke and Ken, I could almost understand if it was, say, Hikari thinking about something regarding Miyako while she's off in Spain, or something like that. But this is not going to be Taichi and Yamato sitting around talking about OMEGAMON. It's just not. That's not what this.
I don't even think it would be specifically Hikari and Miyako, simply because part of that's because we also got some Sora Mimi going on with this one, and it feels like that's really samey to me. So I'm still on Daisuke Ken until I hear other.
Well, that's what I expect also. Each of those are going to be 5 minutes long. They're going to be shown at the pop-up store for people who purchase stuff. I really want to see this more to scale because I want to see what the theater. It feels like the little theater room you have in museums, where you walk in and there's like 6 seats.
Which it could be.
Yeah. Now the items are interesting because like it could have easily just ended up being trash, kind of, to be honest. So there's the special booklet, which is just messages from the producer, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You get a thank you email and an email magazine, which is basically the trash you would expect, to be honest. The Blu-ray itself, which is in theory what the primary one is, and they're making it super clear. Number 1 is going to be released to everyone, period.
Yeah.
Then there's the clear file with the art. Hooray. Can badges with the art. Again, hooray. None of us really collect can. Although you kind of do, don't you?
I kind of. I mean, not aggressively.
Yeah.
I don't go pursuing them, but if I see them somewhere, mass, bulk purchase, I usually jump in on them.
Then we get reproductions of 3 production art scenes, which the one they give us is the one from the trailer, and it's interesting because that actually says DigiFes on it, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I believe that's what it says. Someone can correct me at some point if I'm wrong,
I think that's what I saw.
Yeah. So that's not necessarily confirmation the phone's the DigiFes, but it certainly does suggest it. Then a script and storyboard booklets. I want the storyboard booklet. I like seeing storyboards. And I like how the stand-in is clearly just stuff from Children's War Game. Early screening. There were 300 or so of these, and they went quickly, which not super surprising. The Angemon Gem. This one is the most amusing because there will be no Japanese release of this figure minus for this. They also point out it will be sold overseas, so we will get this one. And the interesting thing is it's done by new artwork from Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru and includes postcard. How much do you think this thing will be sold normally?
Oh,
I mean, it's not like we know the size, but it's a neat looking pose.
It's hard to say. It really depends on the model.
Yeah.
The overall size of it.
Yeah. So yeah, it will be about 10 inches tall is what the size they give.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty big one.
250 maybe.
Yeah.
And then the next one was dubbing participation, which is people get to basically do Walla for it, and they get a signed script. And then the one that got, like, everyone was in a tizzy about this one, which is Kenji Watanabe will draw your partner Digimon. And I feel like a lot of people misunderstood what this meant. A lot of people were like, I would have him draw X. I don't believe that's what this is. I believe it's he will decide based on whatever interaction by letter or in person you have with him.
Yeah.
It's not you're going to tell him what to draw and he's going to do it.
Yeah, you get to give him some thoughts and he'll turn it into something.
Yeah. And then not only do you get the art and the data, they will make a stuffed toy of it, which I'm just amused by.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And that's not cheap either. To be fair, I believe that level's like $3,000, but
Can we just have him make an Erismon, a repeat of the Erismon plush and get that?
I feel like at some point they have to make an Erismon plush because they keep talking about it. They go over the history of the anime series, Poor X Evolution doesn't get listed because it's not a series of any sort. And it's so nice of them to include Atmon when it's not a Digimon series.
It's nice of them to include anything that's not adventure.
They talk. We get a bit of metaphor about growing up from Kinoshita. These, the most expensive levels, which were the get your Digimon made, that's $3,000 basically.
Yeah.
I
Would
mean,
you have to put it this high for
no,
something
I
like
know.
that?
I'm just trying to think. Like, even if I had just way too much money, I'm not sure that's what I would spend $3,000 on. If I just had
Yeah,
like
but
weight,
that's a common thing on Kickstarter to have a couple really absurdly high
yeah. Oh
high
no, no,
donations that have absurdly awesome
it
gifts.
absolutely is. Can we talk about the best thing is a lot of people are like they've gone too far this time. This is never gonna work. It was literally done within like 3 hours.
Oh, I had no doubt. I
Oh no,
like I
neither did
didn't know
I.
what I didn't even know what I didn't even know the amount they were setting it for. I knew
No,
they'd hit it.
here's my favorite part of it. I decided I wanted to see how it was gonna do early on, so I was actually uh, on the page when it opened. I hit refresh and I go, oh, it's still at 0. That's not good. And then I think for a second, like, people would actually have to check out. Hit refresh. It like was 25% like in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
never at all
Oh no,
concerned about this
no.
being
Let's
funded
see.
completely.
It's past 200%. If it keeps going, it could actually beat what Frontier made on Blu-ray.
Oh god.
Now, it would have to double what it's
That's
at,
not a yeah,
but
it's
yeah.
not a fair comparison
No,
what would
no, it's
be
absolutely
funny.
not. But that was one of the things I heard someone say was people clearly like Tamers more because Tamers made I think it was 5 times this amount based on numbers I'd given, and it's like this is
Mm-hmm.
not the same thing. This is
Depending on how long they go, this could outfund Tamers.
I no I believe it could outfund Frontier. I don't believe it could hit that because at the end of the day, this
Oh,
is for
okay.
25 minutes of animation, and all the big ones are done.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the big dollar ones are done at this point. Now,
Yeah.
number wise, it's getting very close to let's see, 1760. That's actually I want to see. I have to pull up my little numbers here. Let's see what the actual numbers compare. Just because I want to.
Comparing to what?
How many people actually bought some of the Blu-ray boxes?
Oh, well, again, I don't consider that a fair
Oh
comparison.
no, it's not fair at all, but it's just fun to just pull up and see. Let's see, I'm pulling up the. Oh, we didn't even bring it up. They did not announce Savers on Blu-ray. I mean, we kind of brought it up last time, but it's still like weird. For me, I keep thinking it's gonna pop up at any time. To be honest,
Oh, yeah. I mean, they might be trying to get some of this,
I feel like they
some
have
of
to
the
get
hype
out of
for
the movie a
this.
bit, a bit.
Yeah.
Um, okay, numbers wise, for actual number of people who are participating, it's already passed Frontier significantly, and it's close to passing Tamers. Which
Well,
isn't at
that's
well, because remember most of these are only going to be $50 anyways for the Blu-ray. It's not really.
yeah. That's what I mean. It's like
Oh
paying this little much. Paying this for
yeah,
uh, um a disc is a lot different than paying a lot for a Blu-ray.
yes.
Like, there's a lot more commitment involved. So
Oh no, significantly more. It's weird though because this one's pre-ordering for like a year ahead of time. Because
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's just weird. But yeah. So shall we talk about the one we skipped now? Because
Yeah.
they threw
There's
up the story.
not too much to talk about here,
There's
but
not a lot, but they kind of threw it up by surprise, which is we knew the story, the title was To Soar. It could have been To the Sky originally in theory.
No.
We all, yeah, but if, but
I
yeah,
know,
it's,
but
it's
we
what,
we kind of knew what this
yeah,
was. This was coming down to. So who's the one that's going to be contacting Sora here? Is it going to be Taichi? Is it going to be Yamato? Turns
it's
out that it's
Mimi.
even better.
Yeah, so we got storyboards and dialogue from it, and it's just, the dialogue isn't much. The storyboard, I just like storyboards to be honest, and the Mimi one's
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
basically
like
just
Sora in kimono is like, oh, you're not hanging out with him for now. It
Yeah.
was like, yo, it's Mimi. I'm in Paris. Sup?
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. We don't know. Mentally, we want to sit here and go, these are in a row, but they very much may not be. Especially based on the context of, because everyone's basically been placing these as storyboards 1 and 2, which isn't wrong number
Yeah,
wise,
yeah.
but placement wise, we don't know where these actually are.
Yeah,
Because
they can link them together, but there still
oh
might be
oh no,
little
absolutely,
bits
oh,
in between
they
that.
can be linked
Yeah.
together easily. I'm just saying I don't think it somehow went from Piomon saying that to then somehow me Sora having answered a phone without
Mm-hmm.
anything in between is what I mean.
Yeah.
So we'll see what comes up there. I like it. It's neat. I hope we get more storyboards.
This is well. I just want to see the finished product.
Yeah,
Like storyboards are
so do I.
nice.
Well, see, that's the thing is they have to basically be finished at this point. They're gonna be showing them so,
Yeah.
in
Oh
soon.
yeah. That's coming up in a couple months, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me pull up the
So yeah,
exact date. Let me pull up the exact date.
it's November something. I thought.
Yeah, because it's when they're only saying late November, probably because they're probably still constructing the setup for the store. Because that isn't one of the current limited base locations. They're opening up a new
Right.
one, so we'll see. Um, do we have anything more to say? It's hard to say much about it without just theorizing about stuff.
Yeah. No, I don't want to get into theorizing because these shorts are going to
Yeah.
be
Well,
ultimately
we can say
just sit back and kind of enjoy what they're presenting. Like
we
this
can
is going to be
yeah
little side stuff. So
we can say for
don't
sure
expect
though.
it.
We can say this for sure though. This is the one they're going to release to everyone.
Yeah.
And apparently, based on the information, is it takes place a day before the movie.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
like
I
there's
guess the one thing to speculate is what the secret one's going to be and why they feel like it needs to be secret. Like that there's opens up some interesting guessing. I don't know where to begin with that, but I'm
especially like
curious.
see normally I would say maybe it's an epilogue. The problem with that is this is going to be shown months before the movie. I'm not
Yeah.
sure
Like this is all being shown before the movie. So
by
it
months. So we'll
it
see.
suggests to me that it's either going to be something particularly, something maybe related to the movie yet.
Yeah. It could also very well be the day before but with Tai Chi. Something like that
Mm-hmm.
would make sense.
At the same time, it's like if the movie is going to be as focused on Tai Chi as we all believe it to be, I hope they don't spend too much time with Tai Chi on these. Like, I want to see everyone else.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't disagree on that, but there's also the realistic of these are promotional things, and it feels like if you're gonna do a promotional thing, Tai Chi's who you lead with.
Well, they're not leading with them. It would be number 5 if that's what we're thinking.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. You would want one to be focused on him, is what I mean.
Yeah.
But
But
we'll see.
again, that would like wouldn't you announce that? Like they're leading off with Sora and Mimi.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just trying to decide now. I'm trying to decide: does it actually matter, or are they just hiding the fifth one to hide it? Because it is also
Yeah,
marketing to get people to buy stuff.
that's fair. Like if they're really expecting like there's one here that I really want a Koshiro based one. I won't fund it unless I get there's going to be one focused on Koshiro.
Well, but
It could
that could
be
be
number 5.
that could be number 2. If you
It
if
could be number well, yeah, any of them could be number 2 as well. I'm surprised
yeah,
how
true.
direct some of these are, to be honest.
I feel like 3 of them are
Like we know one's Sora, we know 3's Joe, we know 4 is something involving presumably the 02 kids.
Yeah, so we'll see. Um, let's go ahead and go to questions while we do the prepared ones. You guys can go ahead and just throw them in the chat. So the first one is someone's asked, will sales of Cyber Sleuth Complete be better than the PS4 versions? It feels like it will, because we know what.
Yeah,
Here's the thing: we know what the total sales for Cyber Sleuth related games are. That would be the PS4 and the Vita versions of both, as far as we know. And that was 800,000 total as of this July. I it feels like it won't necessarily pass that number, but it feels like it will add to it significantly.
Yeah, I think it'll beat Hacker's Memory pretty easily.
Yeah, Hacker's Memory didn't exactly do well, so we'll see. But you're not wrong in that it would it would have to, I think it would have to fail to do worse than Hacker's Memory, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which kind of makes me sad to say because Hacker's Memory actually had a good story.
It did, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And the next one, this is sort of a composite because we kind of got this or versions of it from multiple people. What
Mm-hmm.
impact on Digimon do we think the various Sword and Shield debacles and shifting interest to Cyber Sleuth and Survival have on Digimon? None.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Yeah, that's a
Here's the thing. Most of the people complaining are, I would say, in two groups. One, they were Digimon fans anyways who think they're going to somehow help. Or two, Pokemon fans who are just not having a whine, but who are whining until they give up and buy the game because their friends are going to buy it anyways, and that's what that franchise
I
is.
think that the whatever debacle you say it is, it's more that they might be holding something like Cyber Sleuth up and going, "Hey, see, the grass is greener on the other
Well,
side,"
yeah,
without actually saying, "Hey, let's buy this other game
the
instead."
two primary things people seem to be holding up is one, animations, which
Mm-hmm.
Cyber Sleuth has some good animations, but not overall. It's very generic. The attack animations are good
Yeah,
generically.
yeah,
Then the second one is all the Pokemon aren't going to be in the new game.
yeah.
If you yeah
Cyber Sleuth has every
yeah,
Digimon
here's the
ever,
thing,
right?
but that's where it's people just going, oh, look at this franchise without actually knowing anything, and they're not going to buy the game anyways.
No, I mean,
Or
if
the best one, people pointing to Survive and saying it. It's like, look, man, if you think Survive is going to have the full lineup of Digimon, you're going to get hit really fucking hard.
yeah, they've already said that Survive is going to be a pretty limited
It's going to
roster.
be about 100 is the number they've given.
Yeah, that's nothing.
No,
So I mean,
but
I sort of like I'm happy if people are looking at them again, but I don't think it's going to like it's pretty disingenuous
no,
to be pointing
exactly.
at these. Like if
It
it draws attention to these games and a couple people might take an interest in them, great. But it's not like it's going to have anyone
no,
switching sides, whatever that means.
yeah, that's what's going to be is we might get a handful of people going, I decided to check it out because of
Yeah,
Sword and
because
Shield.
if there's a YouTube video that puts up some Cyber Sleuth, like, hey, look at what Digimon's doing with Cyber Sleuth, and someone's going, oh man, that's cool, I want to check that out. That's great. It's not going to make them suddenly go,
It is
okay,
it is
Pokemon is no longer my best friend. Digimon's my best
yes.
friend now.
It's not going to
No
be a
one's
needle
doing
moving
that.
event.
Right.
And also, and it may just be because me and AR skew older than a lot of people having these arguments. Does anyone actually care about Pokemon versus like really?
Uh, Pretend journalists who want to throw up some clickbait on their websites do.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean.
And it apparently generates interest because these articles popping up and I keep being annoyed with them.
Yeah, or the ones about are still the ones about how Cyber Sleuth is an RPG unlike any other. And I don't want to be mean.
I've never actually seen that argument made.
Look up reviews from around right before Cyber Sleuth came out in the West. A bunch of arguments about how amazing the game was, gameplay wise.
Mm.
Cyber Sleuth
Yeah, I
is,
wouldn't go that far.
but that's what I mean. Cyber Sleuth is a reasonably average slash good 90s style RPG with monster collecting. It's not bad. It's not special though. Um, so the next question was, why do they keep using the VPET version 20th shell instead of making something new? Here's the thing. The only reason they can pump out completely new ones is because they don't have to make the shell. They can spend the money on doing the new ones. If that if that's the trade-off, I don't think it's really a trade-off at all, to be honest. I mean, what do you think about it, I guess?
You actually cut out there. I missed that question.
Oh. It was about them. Why won't they make new shells instead of reusing the version 20th shells? And it's
Oh,
basically where
yeah.
they can keep making brand new ones because they don't have to do all the R&D to design shells and screens and get
Yeah.
everything working. They're able to spend the effort and the money on the actual VPETs.
Mm-hmm.
Although it feels like there might be a change coming up, to be honest. Although that may very well just be the pendulum shell.
Yeah.
Now, the next one I left in is because it just came. It was worded funny to me. May's not here, but I'm going to read it as it was sent. You three are all worldly people. What is the last movie, TV, game you imported?
That I imported.
Yes.
You suggest that I import stuff.
Well, you must have imported something from from those categories at some point.
I mean, technically, I imported a DVD of a musical from Australia that Tripod did. That counts as a movie, I guess.
No, that counts.
It's really cool. I really recommend people check it out. Tripod versus the Dragon. It's basically a comedy band that decided to turn. They did a musical about a D&D campaign. It's hysterical. I do encourage, especially if you like stuff like Critical Role. It's really good. That's the only thing I can think of that I've actually imported.
Okay, I will make sure this question is there next time for May. For me, I'm going to go ahead and discount anything Digimon because it feels like that's kind of a cheat. Because I import stuff to archive it for the site anyways.
Right.
The most recent thing I would have imported probably would have been the Blu-ray upscale box of Red Dwarf from the UK.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Yeah, they did nice.
Yeah, see, I was like, last time I watched Red Dwarf, it was on Netflix. So.
Oh man, it hasn't been on Netflix in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all the pre-HD seasons were upscaled really nicely. A bunch of extras, giant box, and it was only like $40 to get it shipped over here total. So that was a nice one to get because Red Dwarf is great.
Yeah. Does that include the newer ones?
No, it's everything pre the Back to Earth.
Okay, the 8 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 8 series originally.
To be fair, the numbering's gotten confusing with Red Dwarf, so
yeah,
because they count Back to Earth, but Back to Earth itself references seasons that didn't happen, and it actually numbers them, I believe.
This is very on brand for Red Dwarf, so
yes,
it's all good.
It's
like Red Dwarf had a long, I think it was season 3 where they started it out by hand waving everything at the end of season 2. It's like, yeah, all that stuff sort of happened.
No. 3 was worse. 3 is where they tell you about adventures that never happened in between 2 and 3, as if there was another season or 2 that they just weren't showing you. But it was a text scroll over like 10 seconds that was like 3 or 4 paragraphs of text.
I thought it was longer than that. Yeah, it was.
It was a paragraph, maybe the wrong pages.
And it was panned like the Star Wars opening too, if I remember. So it was like impossible to.
Yeah.
It was great because season 2 ended on a ridiculous cliffhanger too.
To be fair, Red Dwarf has ridiculous the end of the original series ends with someone running away from death after kicking him in the crotch.
Yep.
And they have never dealt with it except to mock the fact they haven't dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we should get off Red Dwarf because that could be talked about for days. Okay, that's all the prepared questions. Let's see what we have in here. Who do we think is the worst antagonist in Digimon?
I'm gonna stay consistent with this episode and say Devimon. He's so ineffective. He has like 3 opportunities to actually defeat the kids.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go back to Red Dwarf and say it's Rimmer.
Interesting.
My real answer would probably be Edamon because he doesn't function enough as an antagonist to me. I mean, in the sense of it shows based on arcs.
Yeah.
Unless you count the stage play where they kind of rewrite his character entirely to make it work.
A little bit. That's a weird thing about Edamon is as ridiculous as he is when he is a villain, he actually functions as a pretty good villain. But he's just so ridiculous most of the time that you don't know.
That's why I'd say he's not a good antagonist because he's fun to watch.
Enough.
He doesn't really work like even when he's doing stuff as the villain, it's almost to the side of him fucking around.
Yeah, which I appreciate. I like that side of him, but
Yeah.
that's still a fair answer.
Someone wants to know for Tokyo Game Show, what type of trailer do you think Survive will have? I wouldn't be shocked if it's a new trailer, but I'm not really. I would not be
Might
sure.
have a little bit
Yeah,
of new stuff in there,
yeah.
but
We're not
more of
we're not expecting like the Survive announcement everyone kind of wants. Because for one, there's a game coming out in a month, and if you
yeah,
talk about Survive too much, that kind of hobbles that.
yeah.
Once Cyber Sleuth's out, whether Survive's coming out in April or in December of next year, they can start talking about it plenty because they don't need to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. We could be wrong, but I don't see any way that Survive is a major, especially since they're only showing a trailer. It's just not going to be a big
Yeah,
thing there.
yeah.
Um, which established ship is more likely to be developed or proclaimed in Kazuna? Sorata, Kenyako, or neither? So here's the
Can't
thing.
even pronounce sorta right.
Well, you have to remember, I have like 3 or 4 different windows I have to watch to make this show work. So I'm sort of like half looking, and then I sort of look away, and my mind kind of trails off as I'm reading
It's
Sorata.
it's okay now that you mention it. It's like in my head, I'm actually to whether it should actually be pronounced Sorato or Sorato. It's actually kind of
Oh yeah, because Yamato. Yeah, because
yeah. That's an interesting.
that's
I've never
weird.
heard it. I've never had to say that out loud.
No,
So
neither have
here's
I. It
philosophical
yeah.
question.
It cut.
I might have to. I might have to. I might. I'm gonna do a poll on that on Twitter at some
So
point, like later tonight.
so regarding those two, I don't know. See, here's the problem. I don't know if there's time to develop stuff like that, but that's where it goes. Like until such time that they actually go, we're not doing the epilogue, which they're not going to do.
Mm-hmm.
That is the path. They don't need to show us unless they have the proper time, because that is what's happening.
Yeah, I don't think either of them are going to be developed too much. Like, I think that Miko and Ken's situations are just a little too different right now for them to really to have a lot of synergy, for them to have any sort of relationship.
See, I feel like you could easily
kind of the same thing with Sora and Yamato too.
See,
right
I
now.
was gonna say with Ken and Miyako, you could easily throw in, oh, it's a long distance relationship, and they use the portals.
That's fair. Like, if it's going to be one of the two, it's going to be Kenyako, simply because of timing.
Yeah.
Like, if we're thinking about the epilogue, they're probably only about 3 or 4 years from their first kid.
Yeah.
So, like, they got to get going with that at some point.
Yeah.
That's really the only reason I would say Kenyako. Otherwise, I don't think either of them are going to get a whole lot of attention. Like, they're probably going to do the same thing with Try and just sort of not focus on it very much.
See, Try isn't actually the example I would use, which it's not wrong, but the example I would use for actual development outside of whatever the core element is, I would probably go with Wargame.
Okay.
Because we are thinking like this is a 90-minute movie, stuff's going to happen, and they've set up certain things that are going to be actually important to happen. So when you take that into account, how much time do you have to do development on other characters? And that's why you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Kind of, but like there was like the relationship, like, but the relationship, whatever you interpret that as being, between Taichi and Sora in our war game kind of mattered, though.
No, so it did. Well, here's the thing. It mattered
so in something like in our war game treatment, I would consider pretty legitimate if the attention was paid even in that fashion.
It mattered until Kakudo decided to ignore it.
Well, I mean, it mattered for the sake of our game. Like, the fact that they weren't speaking to each other had plot implications.
Yeah.
And but that I mean, it removed Sora from the story, but it also had some. It just gave Taichi something else to think about.
But what I mean is I think anything like that around that in the new movie would be based around Taichi.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So we'll see how it pops up, because
which is why I'd be inclined to be honest.
I did not hear what you said at the end there, which was the most important part of your statement, I think.
Oh, which is the fact that it's focused on Taichi is why I would suggest neither of them are going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah. Yeah, it may very well just they're there, which, to be fair, that's what a lot of people claim they wanted for the
That
O2 kids.
that would be a big deal,
Like,
honestly.
it's like,
And honestly, and the question is developed or proclaimed. Like if they proclaimed that Kenyako was a thing, then there you go.
yeah. So
They could
we'll
easily
see.
just say that they could easily just say, "Oh, they're dating," and that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, we'll see. Um, okay. Kakudo was always going to ignore it, wasn't he? Here's the thing from what we can tell about the way he writes. He just ignores anything that isn't directly his unless he's told he has to, from what we can tell.
I
Because here's
I
the
think
thing.
that I think that the idea that there's automatically a romantic implication between Taichi and Sora in our game is a bit of a stretch. It's fun to interpret it that way,
But
but like immediately going like that's what Hosoda had in mind, that those two were supposed to be endgame, and Kakudo felt that
well,
it's
here's
supposed to
the
be the
thing.
other.
I'm not.
I'm not.
I'm not stretching to say that was endgame. I'm saying it was character setup, and it's hard to look at it in the context of the movie by itself as not being romantically implicated.
Yeah, that's okay.
Especially when you look at the remake and it kind of puts pieces together exactly how you'd expect based on a war game.
By remake, do you mean Summer Wars?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so
Summer
Summer Wars you can definitely.
yeah.
Summer Wars is obviously romantic.
But that's why I tend to think it's easier to skew that way with Wargame more so, because he could have done anything he wanted with Summer Wars. There was no one to look over his shoulder in that case.
Yeah.
But we'll see. See, it's weird because we want to talk about the movie, but we don't really know anything. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, and
yeah.
it's an interesting conversation. I don't know if it's necessarily a conversation to be
had
right now.
Based on the question, it was worth answering because it's also worth mentioning. People have asked Kakudo on Twitter about like characters' birthdays. He won't admit that we have a rough idea when Sora's birthday has to be. He literally just says, "I didn't work on it.
Right.
That's not something that I consider as happening." I believe if you look up his old site, you can even see him commenting on Magnamon the same way.
Yeah.
Which is neither here nor there for what everyone thinks about the movie. But sorry, go ahead.
Also, this is right in my wheelhouse because like everyone assumes that I don't like talking about shipping. I love talking about shipping.
No, see, talking about shipping can be fun. The reason we don't is because, minus certain things in Tri, people have seen shipping where it hasn't really been there or has been relatively minimal.
Well, for sure.
Like Tri Part 1 had the most shipping.
Yeah, that's fair. It was funny because I've been doing panels at conventions and stuff, and somebody once did a panel at ASEN all about shipping in Digimon, and they did a really good job with it. And I talked to them afterwards. They said, "Well, we did it because you don't ever talk about shipping in your panel." I'm like, nobody asks me this stuff. I love talking about shipping. Yeah. I felt bad.
Yeah, see, shipping is sort of like us going off topic on the podcast, not because shipping itself is, but because if we were to just talk about it, that's then the podcast at that point. It's sort of
if we have a really slow news cycle and we have is me and May again, I think we should just have a whole topic about shipping, and you guys can just go off.
Well, that's the thing. That is in theory why the cards and topics are more compressed. Is I'm going to try to compress them more so we can also get back to having topics.
There you go. Everyone ask your shipping question.
Yeah. And I think it worked out relatively well this time when you consider how much news there were, and I think it was down to like 23 cards.
Yeah, this was pretty good.
Yeah, so I'm attempting to compress stuff down so that we can have topics again because certain news topics sucked up time.
Yeah, I like topics more than news. So
no, I know that's part of why I'm gonna. Part of the issue with that is we kind of got very comfortable doing the show once a month, and going over stuff once a month. It may end up morphing at some point back to like 3 weeks or so, based on scheduling, just so we can have the time to talk about
I
horrible
have
topics
not.
that everyone wants to hear about. Because everyone.
We do have another. We have a couple more questions
Oh,
here.
okay. Why don't you go ahead and read them?
What is the one thing in the Digimon franchise you think needs to be fixed or changed? And that's hard because one thing is.
This is okay. I'm gonna give one, and it's technically a bad answer because fans' attitudes about Digimon.
That's a good answer.
Well, no, it's a bad answer because it's a cheap answer
It's
because
also an answer that that Toei and Bandai have no control over.
no, exactly. I think the thing that needs to happen is, regardless of what the content is, at some point they need to commit and go, we're going to do 4 anime shows in a row where they're not taking a break if something isn't super successful, because
Mm-hmm.
you need to spend the time building it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
they just need to do something
yeah,
to get some more lifeblood in there, get some more original stuff in there.
yeah,
And whether that's, going for an older audience, trying to skew young again like Atma, give us more content.
yeah. Okay, what was the other one we missed? You said? Oh, wait. You
Um
didn't answer this one, did you?
which one? Oh, that was sort of my answer.
Okay.
Is just continuing to get more is
Stuff.
just yeah, just more content with
Yeah,
especially original content as far as the anime
yeah,
goes, because the anime has always been the most visible and probably most successful thing,
yeah. Well,
and they just need to
well that
they need to commit to it.
that's where that's where it kind of goes back to fan stuff, where a lot of VPET fans don't like the anime. They don't like that we like the anime, but that's how
Mm,
you're able to get like so many VPETs, because the anime keeps pulling in people who want stuff.
yeah, like I guess if there was one specific direction to go for the anime, I would honestly just go back to the original. Like everyone was happy with Survive, just kind of, man, this feels like adventure.
But
Give us an anime that feels like adventure.
that's all. That's all. Isn't that almost a bit too on the nose, though?
I mean, it doesn't have to be adventure,
No,
but
I
like
know,
adventure,
but like here's
like just that format, just that old, the joking about adventure being an isekai anime. Give us that.
you're not wrong. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what they do. But I feel like at some point it has to be ongoing content that isn't just an OVA slash movie every 6 months to a year.
It has to, in a weird way, it has to feel routine
Yeah.
more often.
Okay.
Like we just have to be able to set our watch to new Digimon stuff.
Yes. What was the other one you said we had missed?
Um, I saw question marks. There was someone was just commenting on the
Oh, okay.
our war game.
Okay.
Oh, oh, I don't want to answer that one.
Okay. We'll give them a chance to ask a few more questions, and then we'll call it.
Okay.
Um. So what kind of finish do you think the X3s are gonna have?
Finish?
Like, what kind of finish do you think the shells are? Do you think they're gonna be the normal plastic? Do you think they'll use the clear again? Do you think maybe they'll go with some kind of glossy mirror type foil stuff?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't really know.
I'd,
I
I
couldn't tell you.
I
I'm
feel
not sure what the finishes are for the first two.
it was just plain, no, like glossy plastic.
Yeah, that.
I I
Plain sounds
I would like to see the
sounds like a good
I
a
would
good bet for that.
I'd like to see the candy finish again. I like those for the X2s. Not that I'm buying them, but I like the color. Okay, it looks like that's about it for questions. Um, Chances are AR will not be here next time. It will probably be me and May. AR, where can they find you?
Right now I'm pretty active on First Agent ARP on Twitter. I am doing another My Wife Watches series. We're now going through the entirety of Digimon Data Squad
Oh, that's
and
neat.
snarking constantly.
When will you guys watch a good show?
I don't know. We're talking if we do another one after Data Squad. really the logical choice is Atmon, but trying to figure out how to get the logistics of that working would be difficult. Because I could watch Atmon again. That's really the only one that's in play right now. Because my wife didn't really latch on
See,
to didn't really latch on to Tamers or so, and I
I'm
don't
not
want to watch Frontier again.
I'm not watching Appmon again until there's a dub or a Blu-ray with subtitles or something.
That's what I want to say, but I'm getting impatient.
Yeah, but yeah. As for me, I run with the will, which makes it kind of easy to find me. Um, you guys can chat with us in the chat room, join Patreon, review us on iTunes, which helps, and we'll see if you're around next. I'm guessing it's going to be just me and May, but who really knows?
It's possible I'll be able to drop in for a little bit, but don't count on
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Someone actually was like, well, how come AR's there, not May? You could have scheduled around her and said this was strategic because next time we'll have all the information for the X3s and
Yeah.
and AR's not
May
A.
actually
Yeah.
May actually
Yeah.
will be interested in that.
Yeah. See, I don't VPETs aren't my thing, but I can talk about them endlessly. AR does not can't. AR like even the color AR was just like, yeah, I don't even know what the colors are. So
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
strategic so that I could have May with me. That way she could be excited about the VPETs. While AR is secretly
You deserve somebody who's excited about the V pets for the X3 announcement.
yeah. Especially since when we find out it's Gun, Kumon, and Examon getting X forms. And that name really isn't gonna work well, is it?
Examon, I just want to see Examon X from a design standpoint. That thing's pretty pointy already.
To be fair, who would have thought they would have done it with Jessmon?
That's true.
I mean, everyone looked at him and was like, "Wow, he's really pointy." It's like they made it. Maybe he has an X antibody. And then everyone saw Jessmon X and was like, "Oh no, how no, don't do that."
I can't wait to see what episode title you come up with for this one, for this next one.
To be fair, I like the episode title I came up with for this one.
Yeah, this one's fine.
Because I've been trying lately to have the titles before the episode. Because historically, what I've done is I write the notes to put them up, and then I go, "What's the stupidest pun I can think of that somehow fits with the episode?"
Yeah, now you think of the stupid pun before you go.
Yeah. To be fair, this one isn't quite. The last few haven't been super stupid. To be fair. In fact,
I don't remember what the last one was.
Oh, the last one was great. I'm gonna send you the title, just so that we can hear your reaction to it.
I believe I've read it before.
I know, but we need to when you remember, see what it is.
For episode 49. That was the big post one, so that would be. Oh.
See, that's a good episode title, I think.
That's fair. That's fine.
The episode title was.
I mean, it's cheesy, but
the episode title for 49 was "It Takes 02, Baby." This one isn't as clever as that.
Could be that could be the title of a Darling in the Franxx synopsis.
I need to watch that. Everyone keeps telling me I'd like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
I feel like I need to watch that just because there's a character named 02. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, we'll find out. So I think that's about it for us. I will try to nab AR for next time. I think more than likely it's just going to be me and May, though.
Yeah, I think I can see an actual, like, a popping in briefly. That's about what you can get from me.
We'll secretly kidnap AR and make him do the whole episode.
It's not me that you have to worry about. It's like I'm at home kid, so it really depends on the sleep schedule.
To be fair, we've had Lucas as a guest before.
That is true.
So we will catch everyone later. Thanks everyone for showing up. Bye.
Bye.